Topping today's news, as it relates to the ongoing COVID pandemic, the health minister says no need to panic. A mega multi-million-dollar project expected to boost the exumas. The transport minister hits back at the taxicab union calling for her removal. And the Bain in Grantstown set to honor the late Dr. Bernard J. Nottage with a fun run walk and health expo. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Dowell, says there is no need for major panic over the COVID-19 pandemic or the implementation of restrictive measures.
A few weeks ago, I made a statement as it relates to no restrictions for travel for the people from China or those coming from China. And our EOC and our team, our technical team at the ministry, still feel that there is no need to execute any major testing or restrictions for travel coming into the country. We are monitoring all the situations very closely at New Providence, at our ports, at our airports, as well as our family islands, and I can say that even though we're seeing some cases here at the Princess Margaret Hospital, there is no need for any major panic at this time or the implementation of any new restrictive measures.
While the health minister was giving an update on the COVID numbers here in the country, he says COVID never went away. As for the legacy unit, Dr. Dowell says the unit is up and running.
And as you can see what's going on around the world, every country is seeing a slight spike in cases. There's no difference in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Our accident emergency, we have some cases that are coming in. They're well managed. Fortunately for us, the majority of cases that come through the accident emergency are cases that we discover have COVID, but not really the primary cause of being in the hospital. That is concern for us because we have to be able to manage that. We cannot have these cases on the ward and try not to create additional problems for us in the system. The legacy unit is open. That's the purpose for it being there. If we do find cases with mild to moderate symptoms, we have to have a facility to treat them.
The old tent city for Good Samaritan has now been disassembled with the construction of the new hurricane-proof modular. That unit is underway at both Princess Margaret Hospital and the Rand Memorial Hospital. An economic boost for Exuma as project developers and the government sign a heads of agreement for a major multi-year development for Torch Key, a small island just off Little Exuma. Prime Minister Philip Davis and other government officials, along with PMR Bahamas Realty Limited and Torch Key Development Limited, signed off on a $175 million development, which Prime Minister Philip Davis says will serve as an economic stimulus for Exuma.
Valuable jobs will be created where they are needed most. More visitors will flock to our shores and witness the magnitude of what we have to offer. Local businesses will be bolstered, tax revenue will be generated, and increased competition will raise our tourism product to even loftier heights. Partnerships with the private sector continue to play a key role in national development, and Torch Key is no exception. My administration means business, and in the midst of the multiple global crises, we are busy ensuring only the most outstanding and responsible enterprises take root. Among its myriad amenities are an 18-hole golf course, an environmental research facility, sustainable farm, marina, an accompanying village, and a beach club and spa.
During the 10-year construction period of the project, it is expected to generate 350 jobs annually and another 250 permanent jobs upon completion. PMR Bahamas Principal Jay Penske explains the reason for the long construction time and notes that there will be phases.
Well, I think first the overall acreage, as Philip referred to, is 707 acres. There's going to be multiple stages to the project. The goal is to have the marina built in the first 3 years, the golf course completed in the first 30 months. So that'll be the full completion of the entire project, but there'll be stages of multiple milestones much earlier, after probably the 3-year target is what we're currently looking at.
Work on the project has already begun. Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for the Exumas, Chester Cooper, says his hope is that the development will bring people back to the islands of Exuma and increase social development there. The Bahamas Taxi Cab Union needs to communicate in a more respectable manner when corresponding with ministers about matters of the country, according to Minister of Housing and Transport, Jobette Kobe Davis, who was responding to the union president who earlier made calls for her resignation. Speaking with reporters on matters relating to her ministry, Mrs. Kobe Davis says the tone that the union continuously uses when speaking to the media is very disrespectful.
I'm open to meet with the union. I'm okay to discuss what other issues they may have, but what I would not stand for is the continued disrespect that comes every time the union speaks to the press. That's not how I think we should run the business of the country. It should be with respect. I've respected everyone, I've treated everyone fairly, and that's how I expect to be treated as a minister.
The union has requested for months to meet with the Minister of Transport concerning the increase in issued taxi plates and other issues. Asked when the last time there was communication between the taxi cab union and the government, Minister Colby Davis says that would have been in late 2022.
There was a communication, and I think that was maybe early November, and they advised they weren't available to meet at that date that we had given them, and we told them we'll advise us when they return from Abaco, when they're available, and I've seen any communication since then. I could be wrong. I checked my phones, I checked my emails, I didn't leave anything on read, so I don't know if there's anything that came, but
when asked if the proposal for taxi cab fares increases has reached the Cabinet Office yet, Minister Kobe Davis informed that it has not. Earlier this week, the taxi union president, Wesley Ferguson, said the cab drivers did not need an approval from the Cabinet and they have already increased fares. He said they were only giving the transport minister an opportunity to show that she was working in their best interests. Mr. Ferguson is urging the Prime Minister to remove Minister Kobe Davis from transport. He says that Kobe Davis is clueless about what is going on in the industry and what the solutions may be. The government is investigating claims that a group of Bahamian workers on Abaco have not been paid since last year. Reports are that the workers employed at the Endeavour Development International have not been paid for a significant period of time. The Prime Minister will step in, according to Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Clint Watson, who told reporters during the Office of the Prime Minister's first press briefing for 2023 that the Prime Minister, Philip Davis, was made aware of the matter on Thursday morning.
This government will not allow foreign investors, or anyone by that matter, to take advantage of Bahamian workers and vendors. And so the Prime Minister, in a conversation this morning, says now that he's been made aware today of what has been transpiring, he will intervene to ensure there is resolution.
Reports are that the company has been on Abaco and employing Bahamians for some time, but have neglected to pay their staff since September of last year. Just last week, the Prime Minister intervened when the Freeport Container Port Company announced that it would be laying off some 20 employees at the end of 2022. That decision by the container port was reversed after the Prime Minister's intervention. As for those workers on Abaco, Mr. Watson assures them that the matter will be investigated. And finally, in this segment, the Grand Bahama International Airport's refurbished domestic terminal officially reopened earlier this month as it serviced visitors from Sunwing's all-inclusive and other smaller resorts on Grand Bahama as they flew back to the United States, Canada, and other parts of the world. The terminal was reportedly refurbished at a cost of $1.2 million after receiving extensive damage from Hurricane Dorian in 2019, when floodwaters approaching 20 feet destroyed both the interior and the exterior of the building. In September 2022, United Orca Construction, that's a company out of New Providence, was awarded the contract to refurbish the airport, and after extensive repairs, the check-in areas is more spacious, has new top-of-the-line flooring, and the departure lounge can accommodate up to 300 passengers. At the recent rededication ceremony, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Mr. Chester Cooper, said the wonderfully upgraded terminal will serve as a sign of what is to come for Grand Bahama. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.